Yeah.
So, hi everybody. Thanks for coming. This is something that we do every year at Palm Beach JavaScript. Being that we're the last Tuesday of the month, Thanksgiving and Christmas kind of get in the way of us meeting together. And a couple years ago, I had the idea of doing a roundtable of Ask the Experts, and this is our third annual.
Mm-hmm.
Doing this, and it's been really great fun to just get different perspectives, ask the same questions, and see how 6 different people answer them, and get to know what the industry is all about through that. I'd like to keep the questions away from how do I do this in language X or something like that, and keep it a little bit more vague. But there's no topic that can't be discussed. I want to encourage anybody to ask a question, but to limit the chatter, I'd like to ask everybody and put the question in the chat, and Damian will do the moderating, and we'll ask the question when it comes up. When each question is asked, each panelist is going to get the opportunity to answer the question. Panelists, don't feel obligated to answer the question. If you don't have something to say or somebody else covered it, that's absolutely fine. Not everybody's going to answer every single question. Any questions about that? What I've talked about so far? How things are going to be run and what we're going to cover? All right, very cool. Anybody not know what Palm Beach Tech or now South Florida Tech is?
It's still Palm Beach Tech.
Still Palm Beach Tech.
Wait. Do they know?
They don't know. They don't know. That's a good question.
All right. So if for those of you who can't get unmuted quick enough, I want everybody to go to palmbeachtech.org/Slack. There's a Slack channel that we have. Sign the developers channel. There's a lot of great conversations going on there, even right now as we speak. About all things dev-related, web-related, and even some softer skill stuff like we alluded to earlier today, having a discussion about salary. Do we talk about it? Do we not talk about it? How do we negotiate our salary? Other things like that is part of that conversation there. And it's a great way to give back to the community. If someone posts a technical question in there and you happen to know the answer, have a conversation, start a thread, and try to answer that question. And if you have a question, ask it in there. I guarantee you there's someone in there willing to help you in that area of expertise that can point you in the right direction. So palmbeachtech.org/Slack. Sign up. If you want to keep up to date with all of the events that are going on, don't forget to join the events channel in the Slack, in the Palm Beach Tech Slack. Anything that's being posted, there's all sorts of things going on throughout the month. And all of them virtual now, but throughout Palm Beach County when things go back to normal. So if you're in the south part of the county and you want something in there, I guarantee you there's an event happening in the south. And same thing with the north and the west. Can't go too much east, further east than West Palm Beach. So
Nice.
The general channel is there as well. If you are someone looking for a job, there is a gigs hiring channel. Check it out. There's Palm Beach Tech is a nonprofit organization dedicated to making Palm Beach into a tech hub, right? So they're a member organization, and they have members from FP&L to Office Depot to smaller shops like Levitas or Two Fish Creative, and they're always looking for talent just like you. So upload your resume, be seen by these people, and check out the Slack channel for gigs hiring. That's my spiel for all this stuff, Damian. You want
Not enough time. Not enough time.
Not enough time? That was 2 minutes, man.
Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. So, yeah. So what we would like to do is, let me see if we get Cecil in here. I think we have some different people in different skill sets. So thank everybody for coming. I'm the moderator today. I'm still kind of juggling all the different questions, and also I might jump in with a couple of different ones that seem to be out of place. Just bear with me with that. Because of the fact that we normally do this in a very large area. This is normally the biggest event we have here in BocaJS history. Because of the fact that we're doing virtual, and because of the fact that for some reason I cannot order things as I've thought the new option version of Zoom can, to be able to order the different individuals that will be talking today. I'm going to ask something very unusual, which I don't that I don't normally do, which is I'm going to go and ask you to turn off your camera if you are not one of the speakers. This allows us to do the recording, and this also allows the rest of us to sort of concentrate on you, the speakers, and just to make sure that we have exactly what kind of questions we have there. Todd, can I ask you to be part of this team and turn your screen on? And James, if you would do me a favor, and we're going to be just turning off the. You can definitely stick around and listen. So normally I do not prefer this. I prefer that everybody be part of this. Yeah, Sylke, did you turn off? Don't turn off the video. You have to be on. Pardon me. So this is our team. That we had a couple of individuals that were also going to join us, but they're not here. Normally we have some great experts. We have a great variety of people from all sorts of life, people that have lots of experience, that have a little bit of experience, people that are in the technical side, people that are on the design type. We're keeping in the technical side of things, so we don't have, for example, lawyers or other individuals. And hopefully, if there's any kind of question that you can think of to ask, feel free to put it in the chat. Give me a little bit of time to look for those things. I'll sort of put a little bit of pause as I go through the existing questions. You had a chance to ask at ask.bocajs.org. And at the very end, we do have a winning for a raffle to go at the very end of this meeting. Thank you first and foremost, everybody, and all the speakers, and everybody that is right now being muted for joining us. Feel free. I'm not going to go. I feel that with the fact that there's no microphone to pass around, that we can unmute ourselves and sort of ask at random. Some of these we can take it one at a time. I'll usually go in the order that I have in front of me, and then just bear with me. Some of these questions I might pause and sort of hesitate, as I'm still didn't get through all the questions to make sure that we have a good variety of questions. I'm going to start with something just to the point, I guess. And I guess we'll...
Should we introduce the panelists first?
Thank you, Jeremy. That's just why you're on this. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very distinguished list that I'm going to go through the list that you know on the Palm Beach Tech.js, Palm Beach.js website, or the BocaJS website. I'll go in order of that we saw it in here. First, we have Chelsey. She's an app developer at Cognizant. Why do I say it? You know what?
Cognizant.
Thank you. Vision. And let's start with the following. Chelsey, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Chelsey. I work at Cognizant Softvision as an application developer. I just recently graduated from Palm Beach Atlantic University in West Palm Beach back in 2019. And I interned with a company for 4 years prior to that. Started off in UX design and then switched to front end. My manager was Jeremy. And now I'm doing kind of both front end and back end.
Perfect.
Specifically in the .NET world, correct? As the back end language?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So I told you, and Jeremy always makes fun. That's my stack. Well, not really. Now, the next person is Sylke Lopez. And Sylke is, of course, shown as a senior UX and UI designer at Dycom Industries. Now, you recognize Sylke because she's made a fantastic presentation when we were able to go back together. And what the best thing about Sylke is that I remember the most about you is that you were a little bit shy when your presentation, but the moment Q&A came out, that you shone like unbelievable, and that's what we asked you here. We love you, Sylke. Please tell us more about you.
Thank you. So yes, I've been at Dycom for 2 years now, and I've evolved as a UX UI designer from experimental XR experiences, AR, VR, and now doing more enterprise-wide B2B products, specifically for telecommunications right now. So think 5G, fiber optics, but none of the conspiracy theories. But yeah, so I also run Women's Coding Coffee, and it's just a casual little mentorship meetup that I do monthly. And I try to help out with any one-on-one mentorship that I can for anyone that's willing to spend an hour with me and talk UX UI. I help career transitioners and all that. Thanks.
Sounds good. Now, we have a Palm Beach Tech. At Palm Beach Tech, we have hackathons, and was my coach this year, my helpful coach. I was a coach, my co-coach, as well as not you, Todd, as well as from last year, and showed some amazing magical skills that we could not see, but because she would hold up her hands and realize you need help, and she was right. This is Michelle Bekels. She's a React developer. Please correct me if I say your name wrong. A hackathon winner, and eventually, this is what happens when you win enough hackathons. They make you a coach. And you can't win anymore. Let me tell you about it. But have Michelle told more about herself.
Hi everyone. So my name is Michelle Bekels, and I am a React developer at NextEra Energy FPNL. As Damian mentioned, I've been there for about 3 years. I finished my degree in computer science about 2 years ago, and that was my second degree. My past life, I had an art history degree and worked in galleries before that. So I made a career transition. I am the co-chair of Palm Beach Tech Women's Council and the vice chair of Code Palm Beach, where Jeremy is the chair, and Sylke is also on the board, actually, so a lot of Code Palm Beach representation here on the panel. Yeah, I think that's it.
Perfect. Now, Mr. Dwight Goins is actually someone that I look up to. If I was as successful as I think I am, and if I was even more successful, I would be Dwight. So Dwight is actually, Dwight, just to be clear, used to be my boss. He's no longer my boss, so I don't have to say anything nice about him because there's nothing he can do about it now, right? He can go and demote me before, but not anymore. Dwight is a senior. I'm sorry. Dwight is a service delivery app dev manager. He was my boss. At JM Family, one of my best bosses I've ever had, and more importantly, a Microsoft MVP, and has been a presenter at some fantastic locations. I love going to every one of his events, and I'm a big fan. Mr. Dwight, tell us about yourself.
Dang, I can't do anything after that. That was a great intro. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yes, my name is Dwight. I am a app dev manager for JM Family Enterprises, which is we basically are distributors for Toyota vehicles in the whole Southwest region. So that means Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, the Carolinas, Alabama, stuff like that. And let's see here. Yes, I'm no longer a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. I'm not an MVP. I'm a regional director. It's a little bit different. I still do community work. I still volunteer. I still talk and teach and mentor and all of those things in the community. And so happy to be here to answer any questions. JM will be looking for people come the beginning of the year. So you're interested?
So it's a good thing I said
to Damian.
It's a good thing I talked nice about you then. All right. Last but not least, we have Mr. Todd Albert. Now, I work with Todd Albert, and it's kind of a partner relationship. And it is, of course, the organizer and the owner of Boca Code. Todd, as you know, he'll tell you all about himself. But big fan. Everybody here loves him. You know what? I'm going to let him talk about himself and all that. Yeah, there's no one that doesn't like you. Todd, please tell us about yourself.
Well, first of all, I just found out I was going to be on this panel right now. I was, I'm very, very honored to be among some of South Florida's greatest developers. even some that have left us to Ohio. As Damian said, my name's Todd Albert. I actually was a college professor for many years, my early career, but I've been programming since '82. That's the 38 years for anybody who can't do math. It's been a long haul, but I ran my own agency, which is where Damian did some contract work for us. We've worked together, been good friends ever since. And let's see, now I run Boca Code School here in Boca, where we do real projects for real companies, so that our students get to actually get hands-on experience, kind of like a teaching hospital.
Perfect. And now, so my limited thought of pattern of seeing only people and then seeing that these are talk reminded me that we kind of have one more person. That's Jeremy Lawson. It's a very, very good friend of mine. Longer than I've known Todd for, or Dwight. And it is just with big honor to bring him. He's the front end tech lead. He's a developer advocate. He's helping everybody. You all know him, Jeremy Lawson.
The man, the myth, the legend. Yay. Well, hi everybody. I'm Jeremy. I run Palm Beach JavaScript, and I brought Damian on here specifically to boost my ego and tell me how great I am. That's all I have him do. But I am a lead front-end developer at Cognizant. I also sit on the board. I am the chair of Code Palm Beach, where we are dedicated to teaching kids to code. If anybody is interested in volunteering, we are launching some new online sessions, and we need more volunteers. So please reach out to me, Sylke, or Michelle to find out more, or go to codepalmbeach.org and click that volunteer button and fill that stuff out. Thanks everybody for coming out. I'm very excited about this panel. Like I've mentioned before, this is our third or fourth annual one, and I hope to do these for many more years to come. So thanks everybody for submitting your questions, and let's have a great conversation.
Love it. Okay, we're going to start this as well as a panel of meetings with some little softballs. So, how has COVID been for you? Is that a softball question? No. Let's do it a little bit different. How do you feel being virtual at your environment? I don't know. Let's start with just Chelsey, please. Tell us how you feel about it.
I love it. I can concentrate a lot better. I think just being in my own space. I do have to work for my husband. He works for the same company that I do, so there is a little bit of noise. Sometimes we have meetings at the same time, which can be frustrating. But other than that, I think it's been great. My team's very good at communicating, so I haven't really had any issues with that. So I like it.
Perfect. So I don't know how, if we want to open it up to everybody or go and consider different kind of an order. The orders that we have in front of me is, Michelle, how have you been doing with virtual? Is it easy for you?
No, I miss the office. I love NextEra FP&L's campus over in Juno Beach. Very open floor plan and lots of open dialogue, idea sharing. Kind of got shut down pretty quickly. We're trying to make do with virtual tools, but it's not the same energy. I do miss it, and I wish I could go back to work soon. What
do you think, Dwight? What's going on? How are you doing with the easy? He has an easy job because when we started this, and there was all virtual parties and all that. Is it still a virtual party for you?
Yeah, and I love the fact that my team is working and getting more done now at home than when we goofed off in the office.
Talk like a true manager talking. I see that. I see what you're doing there. That's fantastic. Sylke, how was it for you?
Well, I kind of love it because I'm still talking to a lot of people, and I'm a very social person. But virtually, it was very easy for me to transition into, and I had a lot of fun decorating my office space. Right now it's white walls, but slowly, I'll put up some posters and stuff. But yeah. Oh, also a lot more workouts are happening than ever before. if you have a Peloton, follow me. Saucy Nugget.
Oh, wow. That's it. Todd, what do you think about it? Has it been a piece of cake for you? I know you set up your whole office to go virtual, right?
Yeah, this used to be my mud room here, and so we, thank you IKEA. But I'm with Michelle. I miss the face-to-face. We've been, moving into Boca Code and getting to work again with Mariela, who's one of my favorite developers that I would get to work with. Working side by side with her, despite the fact that we're in masks and trying to keep, socially distanced. I hate COVID. I had COVID. It was horrible. My sister has it now, and I'm happy to get back to work, but I can't stand all having to keep away from people. I'm a hugger. I'm a people person. I like to work together, sit at a computer together and pair program, and it is just not the same. I've never liked virtual, despite being a tech person, despite living on Slack. It's just not the same as being in the office. Like Michelle, I like to walk past people, see when people are in trouble, jump in, help them out, vice versa. There's nothing like having somebody sitting, 10 feet away from you, 5 feet away from you.
I agree with you 100%. Jeremy, do you still miss me having my head right there and breathing on your ear as you code to help you code, saying, look, there. You miss that?
Gotta fix that thing. Gotta fix it.
Fix it.
I'm a little bit of both, right? Where I like working virtually because I can focus. I can block it out all the noise, and there's no background distractions or anything out there. But it's the camaraderie. I drove about 30 minutes to work, and I listened. That's when I caught up on the daily news. All the links that I'm posting in the Slack channel come from all the podcasts I listen to on my daily commute and walk to work. So I definitely miss that aspect of it. But to Sylke's point, I exercise a lot more. I just created a commute and just started bike riding around my neighborhood. So there's pros and cons to it all. I think I miss the in-person, like way conversations that you used to in the office. That's some you have in there. So I'm about half and half. Hate it, love it.
Very good. Now, to be fair, for anybody who hasn't heard Jeremy talk in real life, that robotic voice you heard at the very end is also one of his accents that he goes into because he's making fun of robots. I think it's a little bit racist. Is that the right word? Maybe it's just me. I feel the same way. I work, Sylke just, I'm sorry, Michelle, just like...
He's technist. He's technist.
That's what the word is. So Chelsey, as you mentioned, I work with my wife. My wife sits here, and she's a stockbroker. So it's me typing, coding, and able to concentrating very hard. And all she is over there going, buy, sell. Not the same thing you want to hear all the time there. So I think she would be better.
Like waving paper in the air.
That's what it is. She's like, sell. Okay. My apologies. Hopefully that wasn't very loud on your end. My apologies.
It was humorous. It wasn't
too loud. Sorry about that. So we're in the JS world. We there's Palm Beach JS that is hosting us. We BocaJS sneaked in here, and we're in the JS world. And during the time that we started here, three more JavaScript platforms started, and 30 of them, two of them are already popular on GitHub and on the top. So what's the right time? I have this wonderful brand new technology. Everybody's telling me about it. When's the right time for me to learn it, and why should I learn it? Do we want to open up the mutes, or do you want to go one at a time? Who wants to volunteer with that? Todd?
I'll happy to take that one. I think that I see people like Jeremy, for example. I admire Jeremy greatly because something new comes out. Jeremy's learns all about it, tries it out. I'm more of the kind of person where I don't want to spend my time learning a technology that's not going to be around for a while. You know, a lot of these, and Jeremy, I really admire that about you. I don't mean any disrespect. I'm saying I'm more like kind of old school, where, you know, I've seen technology. I've seen oh my God, this is going to be the most popular language ever. And then 2 years later, nobody ever talks about it or uses it anymore. So I like to follow more of the longer term trends and focus on the, you know, not what's hot right now, but what's, you know, what's trending and been popular for a while.
Excellent.
I'll add to that. So typically, because, you know, I'm in good with Microsoft, right? And I wish Cecil was on so he could talk from the Microsoft perspective. But typically, I ask the question, what is the new platform / technology trying to solve? And if it's trying to recreate a wheel, nope, I won't pay attention to it. But if it's trying to be the next, you know, way to create vehicles for Mars, you know, Elon Musk, watch out, right? Then in that scenario, then I might look at it, right? It really depends on what the problem of that technology is trying to solve. And if it solves a problem that I think it's something I could use right away, I'll jump on the bandwagon, I'll pitch it, I'll talk about it, I'll evangelize it, and you're right, Todd, it may die, aka Magic Leap, right? Aka some of the AR, VR spaces that have been around for the past 5 or 10 years. It's very likely to die, and you kind of live with it, right? And technology, in my opinion, is one of those things that it's created to give the next generation some new ideas to supplant and replace the old technology that you're currently working on.
Michelle,
Well
Chelsey, what do you guys think? Is there anything that you're like, I'm going to wait until this technology until something?
I follow a little bit more of Todd's logic in a sense. I kind of like to see what trends a little bit longer, and that's not because I don't want to try new things. It's more of like a time constraint. So learning a new technology from scratch is a little bit involved, whereas if I have a little spare time, I can maybe learn something more about React instead. So that's just kind of how I make my personal trade-offs.
Yeah, so I've got a different strategy. So Todd mentions that I touch a lot of different technologies and have an opinion on it. And, you know, the way that I keep up with all of that is there's newsletters for it. You know, there's weekly newsletters for any topic out there, you know, JavaScript weekly, CSS weekly, responsive weekly, etc. Right? So that's a part of my strategy for just hearing about it. And if I start seeing this pop up more and more in all of those different platforms, then I pay attention to it. And then my strategy is to tinker with it. You know, what is it doing? You know, to Dwight's point, like, is this reinventing the wheel, or is this solving a new problem in a revolutionary way, in a new, more impactful way? And the idea behind that is, if I don't touch it and play with it and figure out what it's trying to do, I don't know if it's going to be the next big thing or not. And there have been times where I've picked up technology, messed around with it, loved it, and then moved on from it because it's not going anywhere. It's reinventing the wheel. It's not, I don't see much status movement behind it. So the things I look for when choosing, is this going to be something I'm going to focus on, or more importantly, am I going to put this in a production website, is how big is the community around it? Who's talking about it? Are there documentation and tutorials around it? And is it at least 1.0? Is there a stable version of it? Because anything that doesn't have a stable version, it's going to change from underneath you. And having that in a production code, it's your fault. You put it in there, and you have to support that breaking change. So those are the 3 rules I go by: community, tutorials, and 1.0.
Sylke, Chelsey, what do you guys think? Do you think that there's something that you have to look out for? I know there's... It's okay. Is it always different in UX? No. What we need to do is, we don't need to think about it like this. We need to think about it like this.
Yeah, even in my immediate team, we're always trying to reinvent the way that we're approaching different problems, especially when every problem looks so different to us, and every team is different, every handoff is different, and we want to keep it consistent for everybody. But at the end of the day, we're all humans, and we have like I can't do a handoff to this team because the developer doesn't work this way, and maybe eventually we'll get on the same page, but for now we have to figure it out. So we have a conversation, and it was like, okay, what's this, a good 2-week sprint for you? What can I do to adjust? And so we went from a traditional 2-week sprint of the UX process, all clean and dandy, to like a one rapid guerrilla testing. Here's my prototype, just faster, because not everything can be completely the nice standard process. So I'm actually reading this book from this person that I actually met during a meetup. It's called Designing for Behavioral Change. And sometimes the problem is not the app. Sometimes it could be, hey, let's nudge the person to input this data better, or whatever it is. So psychology, a lot of psychology at the end of the day. So there's always going to be a constant reading, and I'm always shelling out money for books and audiobooks and things like that, because we have to keep our mind fresh.
Absolutely. So Chelsey, as our official junior developer, do you feel that the senior developers tell you to go this direction, that direction? If there are 14 different directions they tell you as far as front page, frameworks, we're talking about anything. Do you feel that there's too much, or it's no problem, you can learn it all?
For our client, we work with one, and that's Angular. So it's nice to just kind of focus on one, and it's consistent. We just use the same framework. But, whenever Jeremy finds something new, he'll kind of tell me about it, and I'll research it on my own. And I think it's definitely useful to at least look into things, different frameworks.
Love it. Fantastic. So we have another subject, which is your first job. What was the first tech job that really made you realize, and Chelsey, what made you realize you want to go into tech, or that you were in the right field and all that? Who wants to take that?
For me, it was really just a class.
What
Oh,
class?
yeah,
Oh,
sorry,
no.
I
Yeah. What class? That sounds interesting.
In high school, I took a Java class, and that was the first time I ever had any experience with programming. So after that, I knew that I wanted to study it, and then after college, I definitely wanted to stay with the same company.
What did you feel when you saw that? Did it change something? Did it make you say? For me, I had a very similar experience, and it made me felt like I was powerful, like I could make this magical TV. This is how old I am. Do things, you know what I mean? It was impressive, you know what I mean? What did it do for you?
It was just really satisfying. Sometimes it was really frustrating, but when you finally got something to work, that was just the best part about it. Yeah. You
were saying something, Jeremy? What were you saying? What was your first intrigue?
I wanted to hear Chelsea's point because it's interesting. My first entry to so I started off life as a illustrator designer, and
YouTube star.
When I went to college, we learned simple programming, HTML, CSS, and then Flash. That's really where I got the love of programming, was from ActionScript way back in the day. But there really wasn't that many jobs around there. Came out with the iPhone and killed Flash. So it was one area of where I lied my way into my first job, where it's like, yeah, I can figure that out. And this was very early, where there wasn't that many YouTube tutorials, or Google was still not very well indexed and all that. And lying my first way into my first job, and then having an epiphany moment, finding my group of friends that all liked the same stuff we did, and we were just sharing ideas with each other, and having that epiphany moment of, instead of watching a tutorial or reading a tutorial at the time and doing exactly what they did, and being able to start manipulating and making things that I want, and figuring out like, oh, this is how I would go about solving this problem, and then realizing that this career isn't about code, it's about solving problems. And that's what I love. I love solving problems. I'm a problem solver. I'm not a developer. Code is just a tool I use to solve the problems I'm trying to solve.
I see that. I see. What was that? What was that? So Todd, you're nice. The mic drop. Is that what you want? Todd, you're as old as I am, so you mentioned 80s. Some of the people that are not on the Slack were born in the 80s. So tell us, what in the 80s got you to be saying, this is awesome. I love tech so much, I'm going to go into geography or whatever it is that you decide to go into.
Yeah, forgive me for those who are on my workshop this morning, because this will be a little repetitive, but in 1982, my dad brought home a workstation from work, and there, it was like this computer, and my friend had a Commodore at the same time, but this thing could do so much less than the Commodore. But it had a modem you could dial into the mainframe, and really the only thing to do with this was to program. So I started reading the manual, learning how to program in BASIC, and started to write code. And like Jeremy said, I quickly realized that, I could go, not just follow the tutorials and follow the instructions, but start to create my own. And, it was really, like you, Damian, it was that same moment of, wow, I feel so powerful. I can make this, magic TV thing, do what I want. And, I just fell in love with that. Yeah.
What are you, Dwight? I know you don't look my age, but you have kids that are telling you that you're kind of my age. So, what did you? And that's not fair, by the way. You're supposed to look my age. I'm pretty sure you're my age. You're supposed to have gray.
I'm your age. So,
what was
my
it?
history is hard knocks. I went to college at Morehouse for a couple of years and dropped out, and realized I can make money doing this stuff really quickly. I always had a philosophy. My philosophy was colleges should pay for you to go to school, not the other way around.
Oh.
And so, because
Okay.
I looked at it like, if you think about it, right? When you graduate, you're going to be a free walking bulletin board for them for the rest of your life. Oh, what school did you go to? Oh, I went to so-and-so. Oh, I want my child to go to so-and-so because you're working at this great job and you have this great family and this great life and this, that, and the other, right? And you wind up being this walking bulletin board for the university for the rest of your life. So you know how many people you'll bring in because of that? So that's why I always felt that colleges should pay you a little money. But that was in part. Reality, what started me in the tech world was I had already started looking at the .com era. So if you remember the Earthlinks and the Alta Vistas and before Google, before YouTube, right, before those companies existed, I was a part of that Atlanta, Georgia tech area that was always trying to figure out what's the next thing we can build. And so I started building computers, and my godfather told me, go into development. And I was like, development, there's no money in development. And sure enough, my godfather was correct, because I don't know, not too long afterwards, my car had broken down and I had taken it to a shop, and the person was typing some invoices in on this Paradox system. I just happened to have known Paradox at the time, which was a database programming language or system like Access. And I said to the guy, I said, I can fix it where you don't have to manually type that in. You can just scan it, and then just all the data will just flow into your form and go into your database. He said, if you do it, I'll fix your car for free. So an hour later, my car is fixed. I didn't have a bill to pay, and I realized this thing makes some money.
Wow.
And
Awesome.
so from there, it just started.
That is an awesome story.
It's
That right there,
started.
Dwight, I love that story. That is great.
Thank
He
you.
started by someone fixing his car, and now he sells you a car. I see where the connection is. And all that. That's amazing.
Automotive software from the beginning.
Yeah. You didn't stop with it. Didn't stop. What do you think, Sylke? What got you into technology? What was the spark that said, you know what, I can do this and I'm good at it? and I know you are.
Well, my bachelor's degree is in web development, and that's what I started with. And it all started with so the school I went to had a program called Creative Incubators. So it was basically an internship of 6 to 10 people, and I was one of the lucky ones to get in early. And during the internship, we were learning HTML, CSS, a little bit of JavaScript, and I really got fixated on the UI part. I had a really great time doing style guides, doing mobile wireframes and prototypes and things like that. And then they started bringing in local people with businesses, real problems. Like, okay, this person has an Italian restaurant. They've been, in the area for 50 years, but their website needs help. So I just me and the team started doing pro bono work like that. We were getting paid by the school $10 an hour. And then once that happened, I was like, okay, well, it looks like there is a lot of opportunity in the design aspect too. So the first job I ever had right out of college was doing it all. So front end, design, client work, UI, UX. And really UX came a lot later once I started reading about how to apply that to my work. So I definitely technology, well, since 6th grade, I feel like I've always been the computer geek and never anything else but that. Like I only wanted to play with computers. So yeah, that was my story.
That is fantastic. One of the best teachers at my school was the UX design team. He told me, just think of the obvious things. Like in this particular mall, there was always the door, and the door looks, in every mall is this way. It looks exactly the same forward and backwards, but it only swings one way. And you have to read something, and it's like, that's a badly designed. And when he told me that, it was like, click, I got it. That's the more, exactly. And Dwight, like you said, you are the more successful person than me, because you said schools should pay you. Boom, in Sylke they pay her. I mean, this is obviously what happened is exactly what you. So whenever the next time you have an idea of what's going to happen in the future, contact me. This lady buys the stocks, and we become rich. I mean, come on, let's do this. Let's do this. I know.
There's something here.
I know, and obviously it worked. Look at the Sylke now. Michelle,
I had an idea like 20 years ago, which was turning platinum into gold.
Oh.
And people looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, no, if you turn platinum into gold, you'll become the billionaire. And I wasn't really sure about the best way to go about doing it until Jay-Z actually turned the platinum into gold, which was more metaphorical than it was physical.
Yeah, nice. Yes. All right.
See the future. He might not know what it means, but he can see glimpses of the future.
I love it. Michelle, you started in one career, and then you changed into tech. What was it that brought you into tech? What?
It's funny. I was talking to somebody about this morning too. So I really do love art. It's my first love, truly. Love art history. Between the art world and academia, it's very cutthroat. It's not my speed. So I got the job that I actually wanted out of college when I started working in the art world. And it just didn't end up being what I thought it was going to be. I am a worker bee personality through and through. So I kind of came in under the conditions like, I'll take care of your collections, I'll set up your exhibitions, I'll do all of your bookkeeping, whatever you need. I just don't want to talk to clients, sell anything, or go to any events. So that's not a promise that anybody can make you in the art world. Everything is day to day. Hours are crazy. But at some point in the gallery, I was asked to start working on the website because they needed the help. So I started tinkering with the website, and it was like my favorite part of the day, going in the back room and like uploading the images to the website and taking care of that. I was kind of like, this is what I should be doing. So I decided to leave the gallery, go to school for computer science, and then, you know, that ended up being like really hard. But I made it through with a little help from my friends from Palm Beach Tech. I had some tutors and, you know, connections. Through Palm Beach Tech, I got a job at NextEra FPNL. Actually, speaking of hackathons, Joe Russo introduced me to Michael Fowler at my first hackathon, and that's where he asked me to send him my resume and how I ended up at FPNL.
Wow.
Yeah, so and haven't looked back since. It is definitely the right choice that I made. Once again, like I said, worker bee through and through. Love just being able to sit down and work through problems, and just get new challenges every day.
Nice. So we as developers, as IT people, as anybody in the tech world, we're famous for doing one thing, which is doing the same thing we do at work afterwards. And people were telling me, can you imagine going and having an interview, as you saw on the YouTube, and saying, "Oh, you're a doctor, perfect. How much extra work do you do on the weekends? Do you help the homeless on the weekends? Do you do this at night during the things?" And it's not crazy for us to do it as developers and passionately. Do you have a particular passion project that you do on the side that is not part of work, and maybe you think it should be work? Can you tell us a story about it? Sylke, let's start with you. Do you remember do you know of any projects that you really are passionate about? Or what do you do on the weekend that you're passionate about?
Well, I volunteer for Cold Palm Beach and Women's Code and Coffee and events like this. I'm passionate about helping people get like a starting point. Like I know so many people that feel stuck or feel like, oh, this is not the place for them because they have a background in accounting or whatever. And there are so many transferable skills, and I just love talking about how they can transfer those skills over and they can sell themselves on it. So I anything that comes with people, I love. But aside from that, I also love wine, and that there's another little project that's bubbling up that, maybe I'll get some of you involved, send out some surveys. But it's called Diverse Pours, and actually I haven't talked to anyone publicly like this, but I would like to show the world how many small wineries are out there. Wine made by Black-owned businesses, Black-owned people, Black winemakers, Latin, Latinx winemakers. So many small vineyards that are not being picked up by the big distributors, such as Total Wine and Publix and things like that. So I would like to do some kind of like cool packaging and interview them and actually like get to know their story and put that in this like a curated box of wine, different types, and have them explain how they made it. So I just want to connect people with the people making their wine, have someone appreciate the wine.
I think if you can find someone that speaks so well of their wine, as you're speaking of that project, I think you can have a winner there. Absolutely. I love that.
First client, let me know.
All right. Well, you talk next, so
Take
Michelle.
my money.
Shut up. Yes.
Right.
Michelle, what do you like to, do you have a passion project it could be IT, it could be other things, What do you like to do as a developer on the side?
Yeah, so I'm with Sylke. My time outside of work, I don't really spend too much time coding so much as getting involved with the tech community. In fact, it's how I know most of you here, volunteering for Code Palm Beach or being at meetups for Palm Beach Tech. That's what I really care about, being present, meeting people. I try and I'm the same way as Sylke, kind of put myself out there as that person, like, if I can do it, like, you can do it. There's nothing stopping you. You already have so many skills that you can bring to the table, trying to reduce that barrier to entry into tech. So my passion project is to be, a pusher, force people into tech, make them
So-
go years.
Just notice when she was in the art world, She wanted nothing to do with people.
Yeah.
Potential snobs. In the tech world, she's like, I just want to be around people and connect to
Yeah,
people.
it's a different vibe in the tech world than the people in the art world.
Very interesting, very interesting. I find that fascinating. I do have my mother's big into the art world, so it is fascinating that you found what a lot of people will. Maybe it's a South Florida thing, but a lot of people think not quite the opposite. I mean, in South Florida, they don't think that, but in the rest of the world, they think that us as developers are very, quiet, and we don't want to see anybody. We don't want to involve anybody, and but not only introverted. More than that, like they might seem like they don't want to share their tricks and their and some of them is the what's called like where you're really scared that your people are going to know, imposter syndrome. I think Among Us, that's all my daughter's playing right now, and in this imposter syndrome is that you don't feel that it's quite there. Todd, you talk next. No, Michelle, please.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say it's actually really funny. In fact, when I first started my job, I remember like my second week, there was like a principal developer that like made some passing comment at me because I was a pretty social person, like, well, the good developers don't really talk that much, they kind of just work. And I was kind of like, this is exactly the kind of gatekeeping BS that I am going to show you guys wrong. Like, you can be social and a developer.
There is no place full. That's right. There's no place where I've seen more, and I'm going to regret saying this, more senior people than JM. And everybody at JM is social. All the time, talking all the time, helping each other. And that means that instantly I never felt I had to worry about something. Like I guess I would run into the barrier, the blocking. I would go to someone, I get it unblocked, I continue on. They're happy because they helped. I'm happy because I can get my work done, and it was helpful. And the best kind of team is the one that you can go to talk to different people and all that. So I think that person might stick around for long, but you'll see people around them really grow much faster than that person that doesn't want to talk. It's okay not to talk, but it's wonderful to be in a place that talks with places. Todd, tell us.
Michelle, I had a similar experience to you at a recent job where I was more social than they thought a developer should be, especially their head of development. So they literally rearranged the entire building and put up 2 walls so that there would be 2 walls between me and the team that they didn't want me talking to. Wow. And so we would literally be like slacking, like, go get a coffee now, let's meet up in a coffee, and grab a coffee. It was just absurd. And that was, but you know what? It was part of the impetus that pushed me to follow my passion project, which was Boca Code, right? So, Boca Code was a passion project of mine, and still is. I work on it, over 100 hours a week. So it's all I do all day, all night. But also I do a lot of volunteer work, not just, helping people learn tech, but also mentoring people, in the tech community, helping people find jobs. And one of the things I've also been doing a lot of lately is working with a lot of startup companies and small companies, helping as an advisor on their, for them as a tech advisor. There's a lot of tech startups that don't have a, somebody like a developer on their, as a co-founder. And so I'm constantly being asked to become a founder on one of these, with my background. But instead I'll talk them down, because I'm like, I'm not giving up mine for yours, but I do spend many hours helping out with local small businesses, because I just want to see everyone succeed.
Mr. Dwight, I know you're a master presenter and you've been all those different places, but other than teaching or working with your daughter to figure out what the next planet is, and I know his daughter, she'll be the one that discovers the next planet, or the next solar system, all that. Other than that, what's your passion project?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
You have a
I
million.
guess my passion really is to become that next startup that creates and innovates and creates that next thing. Because outside of JM, I come home and do work, but it's not like JM work. It's my work, and I'm probably on 3 different projects right now doing things that are just different than what you typically think of. I originally went to school to be a biochemist. I had a dual major as a biochemist major and a computer science major. I had this dual degree program I was working with Georgia Tech. And what wound up happening was that when I stopped going to school and realized I could kind of take my ideas and implement them without having a professor tell me, no, you can't do it that way, and I did do it that way, it led me down this path of just being more innovative and more business minded. And so now, because I have been in 2 buyouts without me being the founders and owners of those buyouts, so I missed it by like that much. Now I just kind of feel that this next adventure I probably will get bought out, and a lot of times people say, well, why do you want to get bought out if you have this innovative idea and you create this idea and you want to build this product or this thing and you want somebody to come along and take it? It's this concept that you have people that have more money and more power that can take your idea and multiply it times 10 or times 100 or times 1,000,000. And if the idea to me is worthwhile for humanity, that's what I want. I want it to pick up like a snowball and just roll, and everybody get used to it and use it and interact with it, whatever that idea might be. So I guess that passion really is just being that person that innovates and creates something that all of humanity can use in some form or fashion.
Makes sense. I'm currently at a medical company, and the boss has been very clear. If I work super hard, one day when we're all retiring, he'll be rich. So Chelsey, what do you think? Do you find that? Do you agree if doctors don't do liver transfers on the weekend for free at the homeless shelter, should we as developers have a passion project? Do you have a passion project on the night and the weekends?
I feel like I'm still trying to keep my head above water when it comes to just development in general. As I'm getting better, I'm starting to think of things that I can do on my own time. But one thing that I did do, it was kind of a while ago, but I did volunteer for Code Palm Beach a few times with Jeremy. So I would like to do that again. I really enjoy being a mentor for young kids. I think showing them and teaching them how to program at a young age is super important.
Perfect. And Jeremy, I know you have a million different projects, and what is one of the things? By the way, Chelsey, and it sounds like your passion project is to get better at your job, right? To get better at your career and all that. Yeah. And that is all what we're doing, on the side. And I do hear you, and I do feel that sometimes junior programmers or people at mid-level say, like, where do you have time to do all the other things? So it's like, well, but you have to understand, I have 20 years worth of experience, so therefore the new stuff comes in a little bit slower. While you have all this stuff, you got to learn it all, and then you can get to the slower stuff in the end. So we may not have much time. We may do other things, and we're always improving ourselves, all of us, regardless of the number of years we're here. Talking about number of years,
I'm
which
getting
is
worse.
Is that what it is? Just good at other things. Yeah. Dwight doesn't know this because he didn't realize it, but I'm a very good bullshitter. Did you realize that, Dwight, or was it kind of obvious? Yeah. So, Jeremy, what's your...
Bullshitters can tell other bullshitters.
See? So be careful with that.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Be careful with that. I thought I was getting away with it. So, Jeremy, what drives you? What do you do the liver operations for free on the weekends, or whatever it is you developers do on the weekends for fun?
Yeah, 100%. For several different reasons. One, I've got passion projects because I'm a innately curious person, and my day-to-day job doesn't necessarily scratch all those itches to try the new technology or play around with something new and novel. So I have to find passion projects to try the new things, right? If I don't have that, I'm stagnant. I'm staying at the same company. doing the same boring thing over and over. And like doctors, they go for hours and hours and hours of continuous education. They have to keep up with all the new medical stuff that's coming out, and they have a different way of learning, because they're not going to do a heart transplant and learn on the job. Where we get that, we can learn on the job a little bit, right? So it's a little different. We have to do these passion projects to keep up to date, where doctors are forced to do that in different ways because of different circumstances, right?
No pull requests during open heart surgery?
Exactly. All sorts of merge conflicts, and it's a bloody scene. So the passion projects that I've had over the years have evolved, right? I started off trying to make a game, and then I realized I can't make a game by myself. It turned out to be pretty hard to do. I got to do the art, I got to do the logic, I got to do the marketing, I do all that stuff. I didn't enjoy it. And then I started teaching, and teaching really turned out to be my passion. And I started teaching at a boot camp and starting to see some of the problems that they saw. So the first link I dropped in the chat is sampleapis.com, because RESTful endpoints are hard, and trying to teach that on top of authentication got people frustrated and left that topic altogether. And then while teaching younger students, I realized that they're not very good at typing. They're aware that a keyboard exists, but they don't understand that you have to hold shift and hit comma to get the open caret, right? So I created a typing tool, and it's in continuous development, where I'm going to try to gamify it and teach the kids to type. There you go. And my other passion is giving talks, right? We've talked about how I keep up to date with all these things. One of the secrets of how I retain all this information is I fake that I'm the expert in it, and I'll give a talk, right? So I learn something.
I can attest to that.
Cool, find it really interesting, and then just go talk about it. See who else is interested in it. And that's another pro tip for seeing if something I'm going to use is going to stick around. Are other people talking about it? And can I share those ideas with other people, and they share their ideas with me on that? So that kind of loops back to the first question too. So
Can I ask a question? This is for everybody. Sure. Why are we still typing on a keyboard?
That's an interesting question. I had a friend of mine who was obsessed with music, and so therefore he thought we should be doing things in music. And I'm like, oh, we wouldn't have carpal tunnel. We would have chicken wings or whatever. I mean, you would have something else. Do you feel, Dwight, that the future is voice? I don't know about you, but I feel I can communicate more by typing than I can in voice and listen to my voice. I mean, geez. What do you think, Dwight?
I ask because if you think about how long I always tell my daughters this. I say to my daughters, who do you think invented the keyboard? Do you think a female invented the keyboard? Do you think a male invented the keyboard? In general, who do you think invented the keyboard? And then my daughters go off on these tangents and tell me who they think. And I said, well, I don't think a female invented it. And they go, why? Why, Daddy? Why don't you think a female invented it? I said, because nails. Would a female who likes to wear long nails type on these keyboards that we have?
Wow.
And they looked and they was like, well, no, of course not. Because, my wife, she doesn't like typing on the keyboard. And then it got me to think about, yep, see, Sylke, she's got it. And then it started me to think about why do, 20 plus years into this industry, probably longer, 30, 40 plus years, we have keyboards as input, as the primary input. Where we can now use gestures, we can now use voice, we can now use pictures, we can now use all kind of things that could consider to be input. That pictures are worth 1,000
speed and
words.
Precision, man. It all comes down to speed and precision. Whatever you want to replace it with has to be faster and more precise, and that's really difficult. It's really difficult to beat. I'm not saying it can't be done.
Think about AI now, right? Think about the ability to hold up a picture to a screen and a whole paragraph explaining what that picture is can be printed by just holding a picture up. That's going to be way faster and just as precise as somebody trying to look at the picture and type in the description about the picture.
Not precise.
Yeah, because think about the person trying to look at the picture. They're going to be assuming this is what the picture means. They're going to be typing. They're going to be making keystroke errors, right? The same type of accuracy that you get there would be around the same type of accuracy that you'll get with an AI doing the same thing.
I mean, you're right. I mean, this is what the old is not it, but originally the phone I used to use all my life, right, was this one right here, right, and everybody would say, well, and then Steve Jobs came out and said, how stupid! Why wouldn't you type on glass? And I'm like, why would you type? This is a keyboard. Why would I not type on a keyboard? What's going? And then, of course, why do I need to type on a keyboard? That's silly, right? We should obviously type on glass. And you're right. The future person will go, well, why would you type on glass? Are you idiot? You'd be typing on the screen and all that. And I, by the way, the first thing I thought of, Todd, was please, everybody else. I tend to talk right away. Please interrupt me. I can see the Minority Report. They're working, and the first thing I think of is what Todd says, which is accuracy. But then again, we are so, we're so fast at these things. And it isn't maybe, like you said, because it was designed perfectly for the human body, but because we adapted to it. It's the same way as we adapted from, thinking of typing this as the obvious thing to, but there's a million different things you can now type on this. And now, people that are younger than me can type much faster on this than on the keyboard. So you're absolutely right. I love this concept. Chelsey, Michelle, Sylke, what do you think? You're a little closer to my daughter's age, which, as I used to say, she would go up to the TV and touch it. And I'm like, stupid kid. And then I'm thinking, no, wait a minute. I'm the stupid idiot. Of course. Why is a TV not touch sensitive if her laptop is, right? If her tablet is, the TV should be, she's the smarter one, right? So what do you guys think? Will it change in the future? I'm making a mess here.
Oh, Chelsey, go for it.
Oh, I've never had a phone that had a full keyboard with buttons. So that's all I have to say about that, really.
Blasphemy.
I had a BlackBerry.
He always thinks I'm way younger than I am, so I don't know if I could answer his question.
I want to add something to the keyboard input. It's my understanding that the QWERTY keyboards were actually invented to slow down your typing. Isn't that accurate?
Oh, plot twist!
So I
actually have heard that. I have actually heard that.
I heard that, but I heard it's a myth.
The input studies.
I heard it's actually a myth. For example, one of the best.
I'm not sure how much of a myth it is, but that's what I've heard, and I was like, so maybe somebody has the background on this.
Well, the reason why the keyboards were done that way is because when they were physical keys moving to and fro, you had to slow down. If you hit two keys at the same time, you would get the jam.
Right.
So
I think what we need to do is we need to tell Dwight that it cannot be done. Right? Keep telling Dwight it can't be done.
And then he'll do it.
He's the kind of person that if you keep telling him that, he's going to prove you wrong. So Dwight, you cannot improve on the keyboard.
Touchscreen, keyboard.
Way. You cannot do it, Dwight. You are not capable of improving on the keyboard.
Touche.
Damian, you have a tech museum in your office.
I do. I went to one of these tech. I'm obsessed with the old computers, and I brought them up there, and I brought a bunch of old phones, and they were like, no, this is a tech. This is my Commodore 64. Look, it's really ancient. And I'm like, yeah, forget it.
President Trump you were talking to?
That's exactly who was talking about. Hey, how you doing? And it's Fauci. Hey, how you doing? And I'm like, no, you got to understand. Eventually, these things will be old, and like you said, Chelsey will be like, well, I don't understand why there's a keyboard on this thing. By the way, this is as old as the first computer that Todd worked on. Why would there be a keyboard on this thing? Absolutely right, Chelsey. You are absolutely right. This is, I'm not kidding. This is much better.
Yeah.
This is what we had before.
I want to actually, Jeremy, you triggered something in my head when you were talking about your passion projects that, at work, you don't have the opportunity to try new things and do new technologies necessarily. And because I ran an agency for so many years, where we were building games, we were doing AR, we were doing VR, we were building platforms. We had every week was a mobile app, a web app. We were constantly doing new things that I never felt like I was missing trying something out. And that's one of the things I love and my instructors love at Boca Code, is because we're also taking on projects, we're getting to constantly do and play with new technology.
To be fair, his agency gave my agency the boring stuff. To be fair, I don't know.
Yeah, all the .NET stuff was like, yeah.
You gave me an app that was .NET with what was it? With like WordPress.
Oh my god, that was a.
What was that?
Oh my god, it was like, what was it? Drupal.
Yeah. It was Drupal, but it connected to .NET, and it did something, and then Drupal connected
and
back.
They had
and
like SQL and MySQL and Postgres, and like they had like all these developers do like little patchwork pieces. It was horrendous.
So we're pretty much at the deadline normally that we stop at this, but do we have other questions? I don't want to stop this. I
want to make one more statement about these passion projects too, because it's like a lot of my friends would be like, why are you working outside of work? And to Dwight's point, it's like, well, I'm either working on my own things and making me money, or I'm playing, right? Coding for me is a hobby that I happen to do for a job as well. But I also look at it as an investment in me. And the idea is, if you don't invest in the stock market, if you don't put any dollars into it, how much money do you expect back, right? If I don't invest in me and up my skills and put the knowledge in my head, how do I plan on growing? How do I get more of a raise? How do I climb that corporate ladder? So these passion projects happen to help people, and that's a good side effect, and that's why I'm passionate about doing them. But it's also, there's a selfish reason. I'm benefiting myself. I'm growing my own skills, and thus making me more marketable and more hireable, and can climb that corporate ladder a lot faster.
I love that concept very well. Chelsey, do you feel that you have to give 100 hours, and if it's not at work, then it's a person, to move forward in this industry?
No, I feel like I practice enough at work, really.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I also love Netflix, so I love that time where I'm not working. But I do set aside time every week at least to watch some Pluralsight or something, just to improve, even if it's a little bit.
And do you feel that that's a requirement for you to be in this career we're all successful at? Or is it something that, tell me, do you feel that it's a requirement? Like you have to? If not, oh my goodness, how dare you? You're not one of us.
I don't think you have to necessarily, but it definitely can't hurt. And it's something that I want for myself. I want to improve. So I guess it would just be up to the individual.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't say it's a must-have. I never felt like I needed to do that. So I'm a self-taught developer, so it was imposter syndrome. Like I had to be as smart as how I thought everybody else was smart. And then when I got to a certain level, I realized everybody's faking it. Not everybody knows all of the things. Everybody's an expert in an area. But that took me...
Don't tell me that, Dwight. I thought you knew everything.
That took me 8 years of my career to figure out that it's like not everybody knows everything about all of the topics. There are areas where you have a deep knowledge, and there are some areas where you're massively familiar with. And the point is to get a group of individuals like we have going on here at the Palm Beach Tech community of like, I need a React expertise now. Hey, Todd, help me out with this React stuff, And that's where things, that's how you grow and get better.
Always happy to.
Yeah, I am 100% with you, Jeremy. When I read through a C++ book from cover to cover, front to back,
What?
in a weekend.
What?
Yeah, in a weekend. And I did it for this job interview. I got the job, And when I got on site, I was like spitting off all these algorithms and stuff from the book, and people were looking at me like, okay, whatever, just go do the code, right? And I'm like, okay, but should I start with this or this? People had no clue as to what I was talking about, and I'm like, and you're supposed to be a senior level, this, that, and the other. So I was like, okay, yeah, I see. I learned very quickly the industry is.
But did you know how to invert a binary tree?
Oh yeah, when I dropped out of school, my mom and my family just got on me like, you're not gonna be anything, this, that, and the other, and then I had to prove them wrong, to Todd's point. But the way I did it was just like Germany, just hard nosed, just going at it, learning it, investing in myself, taking the time, studying it, figuring it all out, coding, making mistakes.
Well, Dwight, as somebody who stayed in school and did 15 years of college, I can tell you that you chose the right door. Because I have to make a lot of money before I can finish paying for all of the university. And if I stayed as a college professor, I would have never, ever been able to pay off all of my student loans.
Wow. And don't get me started on that, because
that's for
not
another
right.
day.
Yeah, that's not right.
I think so.
I'd love to continue this conversation in the Slack channel, because it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. Do we need college? Specifically for this industry.
Tell us.
Oh man, Jeremy, you're trying to open a can of worms too?
Boom.
Are you challenging my can of worms?
And for that, we are out of time.
But we had a question.
Ask a question.
We had a question for the audience.
Hey guys, so just to throw off the student loan thing real quick, wanted to ask you guys.
Jonathan's offering to pay everyone's student loans. Yes.
You get a student loan, and you get a student loan, and you get a student loan.
Yeah, if you all go to Boca Code, there you go. No, I wanted to ask, like, as juniors and senior developers, when you guys, how do I ask this? Like, when you go to an interview with all these 1,000 recruiters trying to contact you guys, and they throw you this hacker rank, stupid, unrelated, unpractical questions. I mean, and I know I had this conversation with Jeremy before, but I wanted to hear you guys' thought on do you automatically say, I mean, honestly, I've been coding for some years now and know how to do like projects and whatever, but those hacker rank or those code wars, just to filter out, I guess, the weeds or whatever, there's just so much out of context, and they're not practical. So what do you guys do when you guys are in the situation that you're offering this job, but you're like, okay, but pass this challenge in 15 minutes?
So the question is more related to whiteboarding interviews, right? We, instead of going to a place and having to solve this reverse binary tree, right, we're asked to do coding ranks and other things, coding wars of other things to, like, air quote, test your skills. So how do we deal with that? Is that a accurate summary, Jonathan?
Yeah. But not you don't even get to the whiteboarding. Like, you don't even get to talk to them. They're just saying you the stupid thing, trying to pass it in 15 minutes.
You know, I gotta say that it's really difficult for companies to assess developers. And one of the things I've learned is that you get developers who have, gone through and done a bachelor's and a master's in computer science, and they have all this theory, and they can deconstruct a binary tree like nobody's business and write algorithms. And then you have somebody, like Jonathan, who went to a code school and boot camp and can crush a project in a weekend, no problem. I would put Jonathan up against somebody with a master's in computer science to actually, like, stand up a project and build it, right? So there's practical knowledge and there's theory, and it's really hard to test somebody in a practical way. So what I see is I see companies that, like the Silver Logic, for example. If you apply to the Silver Logic as a full stack developer, they ask you to build an API, build a front in Django, build a front end website in React, build tests into your API, right? Connect to a database. That's a real practical application. But as somebody applying there, you might be like, I'm going to spend 30 hours building a project for them that, like, I could go charge a client, 10 grand for that project, but I'm going to do it, for free, just so that they can test me. So it can be really frustrating as an applicant. It can be very difficult as a company to test, how do you compare somebody who went through a college degree versus a boot camp? It's difficult.
Yeah, I'm going to switch sides here for a second.
Uh-oh.
So
You're telling us you're a developer manager? Is that what it is?
well, I mean, in reality, I hear exactly what Todd is saying, and Jonathan, were you the one to ask that question, I believe?
Yeah.
Yep. So I've found, honestly, that the collegiate university research type of software engineer is great when conceptualizing and theorizing on the topics, and typically those roles are for research type of roles. Those roles are for the Microsofts, the HPs, the IBMs, the Googles, the Amazons. That I applied for Microsoft many times and didn't get it for a number of different reasons. My last interview with Microsoft was for a position, at the time Azure had just got announced as a term, and they wanted me for some integration position that it was perfect for, and it was Microsoft that actually recommended me to join it, being an integration MVP. And I was already lined up to take the position until I got to my last interviewee, and it was this guy, this Indian guy, who asked me, and I will never forget this question. He said, "What is the pattern of a string?" So I'm like, oh, this is an easy question. This has got to be like the easiest question in the world, right? So I'm going up there and explaining them about immutable characters, arrays, and giving all of this stuff about the pattern of a string. And you know what he does? He goes, "Nope, that's not right." And then so I'm like, "That's not right." So then I start to think, well, what do you mean pattern of a string? He says, "What's the pattern of a string?" So I go back and I rethink. I'm like, okay, you're talking about a character array, you're talking about B strings, you're talking about V strings, you're talking about com strings, and I'm thinking of all the things I could think of about the string. And then he goes, "I'm sorry, this interview is over." And I'm like,
What?
I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? And at the end of this whole process, he comes back in the room and he tells me, there was nothing wrong with your answer. It was a trick question. He says, "I just wanted to see how you would react in the field, because as a Microsoft consultant, clients come to you all the time and like they challenge you on stuff. And you can't just be big-chested and egotistical, like, oh, I know the answer and this is the answer no matter what," which is pretty much what I was doing, right? And he was telling me I have to listen to whatever the client is and try and negotiate, the solution with the client. And that was, and at the end of that, him explaining that to me, he says to me, I was using this pen. Do you guys know, like, the Echo pen, the one that can record notes as you write it down, right? So I was using the pen to take notes of what he was saying, right, in the middle of my hurt, right? And he says, "Oh, by the way, I invented that pen." And it's like, talk about a mic drop. I was like, okay, so it
Did you
taught
drop
me
the pen?
Yeah.
No, I
Here,
should have, right?
you can have it back then.
But it taught me a valuable lesson. Sometimes they're not looking for the technical stuff. Sometimes they're looking for the social aspect of it. And when I give interviews, that's actually what I start to do. I let my technical team handle the technical thing, because I tell my technical team, okay, guys, quiz this person or interview this person on your daily task to see if they can do your daily task, or at least have the aptitude to learn your daily task, because they're going to be working with you. I'm going to handle everything else. And when I come in and I do the interview, I ask very simple questions. I say, hey, you're put in this position to work with a solution architect, a DBA, and a tech lead, and they give you a requirement that says build this web page. And it's very simple. You got to build this web page, and the solution architect gives you a requirement that says do something, and you know that that requirement technically is not feasible. What do you do? And people are like, they're looking
Wow.
for some, fancy answer or some technical solution, and all I'm looking for is communication. Well, I need to ask the question. I need to talk. I need to let the SA know. I need to talk with the. All I'm looking for is what you would do in real scenarios, because those things really do happen. So to bring this back around to the collegiate person typically does not have that experience. They typically don't know. They can theorize. They can give the answer. They know technically they're right about the thing that they're talking about. And all it takes, though, is just a little bit of training to teach that person, hey, you gotta kind of dumb it down a little bit. Just like you spent 20 years in college understanding the ins and outs of every bit. This person has not. This person knows how to get the task done. You know how to theorize and write it on paper. We need both to work together. So, and that's what I've been learning.
Dwight, what you're saying is cultural fit is more important than technical fit. And I agree with you 100%. I have actually never, of all the developers, I've hired roughly 20, 25 developers so far. And of all the developers I've hired, I have done 0 technical challenges. It's always been about cultural fit, because
Nice.
my theory is I can teach you to do whatever I need you to do. If you don't know how to do it, I can train you and I can show you. And as long as you're a good cultural fit, that's more important. And I talked to some of the people at like Office Depot this weekend and some of the big companies, Modernizing Medicine. All of their first developers that they hired were doctors. They were like, we need people that understand the content. We need doctors. We could teach them how to code. You could teach anybody how to code. That's the idea. So I think you're spot on, man. Obviously, you're not disagreeing with me.
Not at all.
So to answer Jonathan's question, with the scenario of being tested, because it's like it sounds like Todd and Dwight, you have more sophisticated hiring practices, and I throw those in there with the technical questions. So I my interviews in the scenario of someone who's not very well versed in the interview process or doesn't know what they're looking for, because trying to get through the HR barrier or the recruiter barrier before you even talk to the technical people, and they're just throwing coder rank at you, or how many stars on GitHub do you have? How do we overcome that challenge of breaking that barrier of the HR/recruiter to get to the technical interview?
I think we might have to take that for a different meetup. I think this is a long discussion, and I'd love to continue it. I have a million examples, Jonathan, of exactly what you're looking for, including one where I didn't answer and they still hired me. I didn't, it was a question they kept on asking. No, I mean this, and I couldn't answer, and yet they still hired me. And Dwight became my manager, but when I joined his company, I was somebody else. And the difference was, I walked in, I looked over, and it was someone I knew. And the one boss who hired me looked at him and says, "Do you know? What do you want to ask him?" And he looked at me and he says, "No, I know Damian, so I don't need to ask him anything." And that could have been good or bad, because he didn't say anything after that. He could have been like, "Oh my God, I know Damian," but I think he didn't say that, obviously. But yeah, sometimes the cultural fit will work right down. And with the APIs, I think with anything where they have to code, I've seen a Norwegian cruise line. They did it well. I'm answering the question I told you we should stop talking about, right? I
wanted to add to Jeremy's point. So, as a manager, I really don't pay attention to the code stars and the code ranks and all of that, right? The recruiters have their method of screening people, and they give me a stack of resumes, and I read through the resumes, and I'm looking for specific things that outline exactly what I need for that role. Okay, so I'm going through hundreds of resumes, and I'm like, if I need a MuleSoft developer, right, I'm gonna look for everybody that has anything on there that says MuleSoft, and then I'll go through the list looking at their experiences and all that. And then when I get on the phone and have my tech interview on the phone, that's when I'll know when that person is good. I could care less if they have 50, if they have 5 ranking in their GitHub repos, or what they do on their tech interviews, with whatever. I can care less, because it's always going to be a trial basis. You're going to come on and you're going to have to perform the first, second, or third week when you're on the job. And trust me, if you don't deliver when we think you should deliver, if you that first month, that honeymoon period is over, you're out. So it's not a big thing for us.
So I'd like to continue this conversation. Jonathan, maybe can you, on the Slack channel, on the developers channel, maybe let's start a thread over there and see what other people have, and let's open it up to the broader community as well, because there's a lot of different experiences and responses to all these things. And there's a lot of people going through the interview process now that I think might be able to weigh in on this topic too. So let's move that conversation over to the Slack channel and pick it up from there.
No, simply, I want to work for Todd or for Dwight. That's it.
Well, Dwight did say that they're hiring come the new year, so
Yeah.
make sure you get in contact.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
So I think we'll have to, like you said, we have to end there. I'd love to continue on. I put into the chat the Slack channel. That is how to sign up to the Slack channel. If you already have part of the Slack channel, please join us there. In the developer channel is where we normally, we all of us hang around. Everybody that I know here. And if you're not signed up, just follow the link there. It's palmbeachtech.org/Slack.
Yeah, the link's in the description.
See ya.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Sylke. Thank you, Chelsey. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Dwight. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for making this the best group ever. Almost even better than this one. It's fantastic. Angel, come on in. Everybody, come on. Turn on your camera. Say bye.
Yeah, turn on your cameras. Should we do a group shot? Let's do
Yeah. So next week, we're going to see Jonathan present something that I just love. If you like mobile and you like React,
Yes.
native, is going to be having, and it's going to be by Jonathan. He's already shown me what he has. It's tremendous. So I cannot wait to see it. And please join us next week. Same bat channel, same bat chime. And
All right, everybody wave. I'm going to do a screenshot.
Whoa!
All right.
What happened to you?
Okay,
Oh, there you are.
One more now that Dwight has his
Camera
background
on.
up. Okay. All right, ready? One more. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
See you guys next week.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Slacking.
Bye.
Ciao.
Get well, Angel. It's just you and me. Wait a minute. Did I turn off everybody? I just turned off everybody. Oh, it's just me.